workshop, another master class on this thing. This one, I decided to make this one for the ladies, man, of the path working, because it's about time that we also start to not only raise the consciousness of men in the spiritual path, but also the women and how they've begun to understand. Women are very intuitive and very tapped into their own oracle powers if they can access it, if they can understand how to get over their core beliefs and reframe them, as well as heal some of their core traumas, core wounding. You know, there's far too many women that I've spoken to who've gone through many different traumas, especially in childhood and so forth, that really need this tech, these understandings. So let's get started today. This one's about the Priestess Beast, okay? This one's about the Priestess Beast. And first of all, I might be giving my own anecdotes, personal stories. I might be sharing some esoteric meanings. Esoteric meaning that it's understood by a small circle of people, as well as understood by very less people, okay? It's very hidden. It's not exoteric, as in symbols and myths and stories that are out there. It's more esoteric, meaning it's occult information that you might be getting today. I wanted to speak primarily of the start or the genesis of mystery schools, right? That came from actually the cult of Isis, okay? Not the cult of Isis like the, you know, terrorist thing, group. The cult of Isis from Egypt, 2500 BC, okay? And they survived Egypt, right? They survived Greece. They survived, you know, the Romans, the Rosicrucian era, the, you know, humanist mystery school era, the Golden Dawn era, the Blavatsky era. The cult of Isis is something that has stood the test of time over many, many years. And it's actually, if you think about it, science is also technically a cult of Isis, okay? So when we start to understand this, we also understand that the representation of the serpent as well as the bird or with wings, right? The serpent with wings is very crucial in understanding the Isis energy, right? First and foremost. So we got to understand the sound was actually is. It wasn't Isis, right? It was is, okay? And the is sounds like a hiss that's taking off, and basically understanding that the imagery immediately is very interesting. A snake that can fly, right? So I'm starting here because I think it's a very valid point that in ancient Egypt, they had something called Nu, okay? Or the primeval waters, okay? Now, it's very interesting because that primeval water, that sacral energy, that womb-like energy, goes back to the very basic understanding of the maiden archetype, okay? So if you've ever heard of like the Handmaid's Tale or the idea of a maiden, right? Back in the days, they used to have these handmaidens, right? Their only purpose was to give birth, if you understand that, right? Now, if you really break it down and you understand the divine feminine is actually from a goddess energy, right? Now, it's amazing to me that India as a culture has revered women in all its Shakti as well as disrespected them to so many levels. It's like such a, you know, mixed platter, right, of what we've seen. But it's really important to understand that a lot of the centuries and feminism and all of these movements, right, that women were psychologically designed to keep quiet, to shut up, to suppress themselves, right? Rather than what? Speak up, be heard, and then, you know, this leads to that, you know, all of those movements that came after it, right? All right, Tetsu, awesome, brother. Yeah, we'll tap in. So the first thing that I have to tell all the women listening right now, if you really want to heal this and you want to integrate your priestess beast, which means your divine feminine and your dark feminine energies, okay? Start to understand that your suppressed dark feminine energies, that isn't the authentic you. However, there are aspects of it that add spice, flavoring to your already existing archetype. Okay? So think about it like this. Number one, if you are a woman listening and you haven't forgiven your mother yet, you need to do so. Okay? Because that is your first instance of feminine energy, okay, in your life. Oh, yeah, man. Awesome, Zomboid. Let's go. I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Zomboid, aren't you also in Australia? So is Tetsuo. That's awesome. So, intuition, you know, let's think of some qualities that describe the divine feminine or the goddess energy, right? What are some words that are coming up for you guys? Nurturing, right? Intuitive, very receptive, motherly, you know. Hope she gets better, brother. So openness, right? The moon, insight, forgiveness, harmony, sensitivity, okay? Sensuality, renewal, creation. I think creation is such a powerful one because women actually give birth, right? They're the birthing consciousness, the energy of that. To birth something into existence, to create life, right? So number one, forgive your mother. Not only your mother, even your grandmother, okay? And those initial energies will then be healed, right? Now, as men, we also have this anima that follows us around, you know, and it's our perfect, ideal version of a woman that constantly we argue with or we compare ourselves to with other women, right? It's an ephemeral kind of very vague, drifty kind of energy that brings us into our shadows, okay? So once you understand what that is, you can really take the power back. Now understand that if you're a woman listening to this, you came into this reality and you chose your physical incarnation to be a woman in this day and age, okay? So you got to understand that, okay? And you got to really listen to me without any prejudice, any, you know, ideas or, you know, different things. Just get into beginner's mind and listen, okay? Oh, he's mansplaining, okay? No, I'm not mansplaining, okay? You better listen up, okay? I've gone through this lesson and there's something very, very powerful to note when it comes down to feminine energy. So for the women listening, I would definitely tell you, number one, womb meditation, okay? The meditation that you are either in a womb or you're activating your womb full of creative potential is going to be phenomenal for you, okay? Number two, the idea being that you are going to tap into something that makes you feel creative, okay? Makes you feel like you're an artist. This is why women do makeup, right, guys? Got a womb oil and moonstone bracelet yesterday. Yeah! That's what's up. That's one of our adepts, Claudia. Let's go. Tetsu, more like what's energy cost. Inflammation is real bad these days, yeah. What's the energy play to this? Energy play is Shakti, my friend, and it's the invisible force that's behind everything. You know, Heraclitus had this quote called, nature loves to hide, right? So nature is trying to whisper to us. It's constantly trying to get us to look for the right answers, look for the right pathways, right? And really move it forward like this. Now, you should also, as a woman, name your anima. Name your Shakti. Name that divine feminine goddess within you. You got to give it a name because then it starts to take a form and it starts to take a structure. Okay? Once you have that, it's like the rest can just start to stack and stack and stack and stack. It's amazing, right? Because then you can actually speak back to that voice in your head. That oracle voice, that intuitive voice. It's going to tap you in. Okay? So Moonstone is very connected with intuition, and energies of the moon, which are great, again, for full moons, so activating moonstones in full moon times, okay? Now, if you're familiar, the moon cycle is also associated with women's menstrual cycle, okay? Luna oftentimes came from the word lunatic, which is why women were, you know, also seen as being hysteric back in the day. They said women had hysteria, right, or went crazy like that. However, it's more so that I think they were threatened by the power of the feminine energy, right? Which is why they said, like, burn those witches. We don't know them, right? We don't understand them. And so we're just going to burn them out. You know what I mean? And so if you have an aversion to, let's say you're a woman and you don't want to wear dresses, you know, you don't want to do makeup. I get it, okay? You don't have to get into the traditional gender norms of this thing, but I do want you to try it anyway. If you haven't tried it, do try it, okay? And that's my challenge to you, because if you are resisting even female concepts or feminine ideas, okay, that means you're suppressing it too at some level, right? You're holding it back. You're like kind of pulling it back, okay? I remember my ex-girlfriend, you know, she used to not like pink. She used to just wear black all the time, right? I get it. I totally get it. Like, oh, maybe pink's not for me, whatever. But then after a while, you know, when I bought her some pink stuff or whatever, I liked pink, you know, seeing it on a woman at least, she started to go, hey, maybe I actually like this. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't given myself a chance to even explore this thing. Okay? So, you never know if you don't try. Okay? You'll never know if you don't try. Again, you gotta associate with the things that are making you take away that feminine essence and that energy, that are draining you, that are making you feel that I need to step it up, you know? Again, it's the same with the men's empowerment movement, the women's empowerment movement. We got to understand that there's a lot of overgeneralizations, right? And sweeping statements, okay? Now, myself, if I were to really be a spiritual baddie in this game, right, as a woman, probably would be, right? Probably was in a past life or something, right? And I would listen to, like, maybe, what's that girl's name? Activation vibration videos. And at once in a blue moon, I would tap into the masculine energy of that wizard Liz as well, right? Even though she's, like, really abrupt and very, like, you can't even know what you're doing. It's like the complete opposite, right, of feminine essence. And you see that, right? That can even be a spark for you. And that intimidation or whatever you feel from her, that could even spark some true insights, right? And some gift for you. So I remember a little while ago, I was watching this girl's videos. She was a spiritual baddie. She called herself that or whatever. And I got triggered. I actually got triggered by the video. I was like, who the fuck does this bitch think she is, right? I got into my head about it. But then I sent her a message. I actually reached out to her, bro, right? Think about this. But the reason I was mad at her, guys, wasn't even that. The reason I was mad at her was that she had actually had a working business and she could travel to all of these exotic locations, and she was in Bali before me, right? And so I immediately saw that. I told her, I sent her a message that was the complete truth, okay? You guys can find it in some of my old videos if you go scourging through all these 1,500 videos or whatever, however many videos I've made. But irregardless, I sent her a truthful message, right? From start to finish. Like, look, how you're portraying yourself, I find it kind of shocking and jarring. It's kind of throwing me off. I don't know if that's the authentic you or not, right? But I do recognize your potential and this, and this. And then later on, when I was actually in Bali, I sent her a message. Yo, I manifested Bali. And she actually replied to that, you know? Okay, so Ceylon says, I need 3 shamanic women to hypnotize me and initiate me into their cult. No, this is not a kink, I swear. It's definitely not a kink. Yeah. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? What's coming up for you guys? The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. If you're a woman listening, read The Artist's Way. It's going to be a powerful book for you. Irregardless if you do art or not, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be exploring that feminine potential and that feminine energy. Okay? And it's 2-2 right now. 22 people watching, right? Well, that's the feminine energy as well. 2 is the feminine number. It's 205 for me right now in India. So these downloads are coming through, right, guys? I'm working a lot with Saraswati's energy and Harmonia's energy quite recently. Also another goddess that we're working with, which is a hush hush, is a secret. Got that from Zothis, okay? And we got to keep that on the down low for the adepts only, okay? But that energy is also very, very powerful, man. It's so powerful. That goddess energy is like, it changed Zothi's life or trajectory, let's just say. So I'm not going to reveal that on here. And I don't think he's comfortable sharing that either. So, but yeah, I'll let you guys know, whoever's tapped in towards that, if it helps you in regards to something, because we're really a manifestation path working, right? We want to figure out how to use these energies and really be able to optimize it, right, for our own collective and our own path working. One question, what's your recommendation for people like my sister who act more like a boy but exhibit many traits of toxic masculinity? Has she forgiven her dad? You know? Because again, if you have a very militant father that you feel resentment for, or you have this energy against him, this kind of negative energy, you might just pick up the father's traits, or you might pick up some ideas. Maybe her friends are like that too, right? So it's all about like sisterhood and circles at times too, you know? Oftentimes it's not as quick and swift, like, you know, of a healing. But what I would tell her is get her to explore these resistances, bro, right? She's resisting the feminine, and maybe she's wearing like tomboyish clothes and things like this. Maybe she had a very radical feminist mother. It could be that, right? Who got her to believe that, you know, everything is the patriarchy, everything is oppression, right? You have to fight in this world or whatever, okay? Whereas that's maybe not her natural, organic, optimal self. If she really got herself to explore herself like that, right? Yeah, no, she hasn't forgiven her dad. Yep. I called it, bro. I haven't forgiven him either. He's a shithead. Okay, got it. Got it. I'm not toxic, I hope. Definitely see if you can forgive your dad, bro, because then, I mean, what does the Bible say, right? This person is saying ice cream sandwich, right? They're saying Jesus is the way to go to heaven. But let me tell you this, it says in the Bible even that you forgive them and then God can forgive you, right? That's what it says, actually. And that's the code. There's a code in that. Like, I think the Gita, the Quran, the Bible, all of these are codes. We have to understand those codes. Someone can read it and get completely misconstrued and start the Crusades or something, right? Or start like some religious war out of it. But you got to be smart about this. When you're reading scripture, you've got to really apply it to the best of your capabilities. So, yeah, man, it could even be from afar, or you can just do the Hopno technique, the Ho'opono Ono, but we call it the Hopno because of the quick form of it, where you just put a hand over your heart, think of your dad, just send him some good vibes, some energy, even though he was a shithead. You blame him for the good, you better blame him for the bad. You get what I mean? So, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. Okay, boom. And just do that before you sleep, and you'll feel fresh, you'll feel clean again. You'll feel your authenticity coming back, right? I did this with my dad too. Listen, Dad, I know you were kind of like really busy growing up. You had all these spiritual projects, you know, you did all these things. You didn't really give me that much time. I was usually with my mom growing up. But I forgive you for all of that, and I want to start fresh. And I know we had all these inside jokes, and we said chunky chicken, and like these random like puns that we would come up with. I had that good relation, and sometimes I'd play like soccer with him or football, right? And so I told him that. He didn't say a word, but I hugged him and I started tearing up, right? I started tearing up because that was like repressed emotion in me, right? That was like some inbuilt, pent up energy that hadn't gotten out. So when it gets out, it's like a freedom, right? So anyway, forgive your parents, you know? And if you're, really think about it, right? If you're like, do you think that you're really inadequate without jewelry, without makeup too, right? It could be one thing that you're resisting makeup. But what if, let me tell you this, what if by wearing makeup you realize, wow, I can be so creative as a woman. Create new color palettes, right? Find my own way to do this thing, right? And it's not even, you ask women, why do they wear makeup? You know, they'll tell you, we do it for ourselves, you know? there might be a subconscious reason they're doing it for guys. Yeah, I get it. Like, why are we dressing like this? Why are we doing anything, right? It's all for the opposite gender or whatever, right? Like, subconsciously, I'm saying, right? Not consciously, we don't do that, right? Consciously, we're like, no, absolutely not. I would never. Why would I even? Okay? But really, it is like that. Okay, so we got to get honest with ourselves. Why do you wear lipstick, you know? Pay attention to the lips, you know? Something you want to kiss. Pay attention to the eyes so you make eye contact, right? All of these different things, right? So you got to start to explore this thing, right? And understand you are a walking portal of creativity, of oracle energy. You just got to activate it, okay? If you start buying into these negative feminine archetypes in your culture, yeah, toxic femininity is going to be on the rise, let's just say, okay? More so, it's not toxic, okay? The word is not toxic, it's wounded. It's unhealed, okay? So if you leave it unhealed, then it's going to become a problem. But if you start healing it, if you start leaning into it, then it's going to find solutions, okay? Another thing I definitely say is see if you can just be around nature, right? Constantly, a lot of us, we get into our heads, but the feminine energy is meant to embody you, meant to get you in your body again, okay? So that means stretch, do yoga, start dancing, you know, start moving the hips. We're mesmerized by a Shakira video, right? When we're watching it as guys. But let me tell you guys, right? This is what happens, okay? Like I said, Zomboid, toxic femininity would just be wounded femininity. So there are aspects of femininity which are unhealed. So this could be things like, let's just see, maybe very flighty or very, you know, thinking without, acting without thinking, or let's just say, what are some examples? Jealousy, maybe, or controlling nature, manipulative nature, like seductress kind of nature. There's many styles of it, right? I can't sum it up, but there's many different styles of wounded femininity that you have to work on, right? Different aspects of you, dark aspects of you, or shadows, essentially, right? They're just shadows. And you have to integrate that shadow. So if you're like, I don't think I'm a badass bitch, I can't be that. Like, I can't do that, right? Maybe just go out one night with your friends, right? And just get it out of the way. Like, I'm a badass bitch for the night. And you integrate that night, right? You do that one night. Okay, because it's important. Now, don't get overly drunk and like letting, I don't believe in that, but allow yourself to have fun. I think this life is meant to be lived and had fun. There's so much fun to be had in this life, but we give ourselves all these limits and constraints, or oh, culture wants me to be like this, or I can't wear shorts around the home, right? Let's say you live in a very strict or religious upbringing or a family, right? You can't wear certain clothing. You can't go out on this time. You have so many restrictions, right? You have so many like rules, restrictions, dogma, kind of just chaining up your femininity, that natural feminine essence, that glow. But then you notice when a woman goes on a vacation, she shines, right? She starts glowing up all of a sudden. Why? Because she's let down the chains and the anchors of like, I have to be like this, and oh, at work I can't do that, you know? So all of these rules in your mind, the judgments, create the constriction, right? And the more shame that you feel around your own femininity, then you start to actually cause constraints around your own potential, okay? So really think about this, okay? Name your anima. Also, I want you guys to make a list of women that you really respect, okay? Like women who's just vibing, right? Like someone's vibe that you just immediately resonate with. Just make a list of all of them, right? It could be from anime, it could be from movies, okay? From a lot of different things. And also write down women that you are intimidated by. You feel like, I can't do that. That's too much. She's too sexual. That's your shadow work, right? If you're like scrolling TikTok or whatever, and you're like, Kim Kardashian's such a hoe or whatever, you're like, oh, there's your shadow work. Make a Kim Kardashian altar and start praying to her, girl, okay? Hold on a second, right? This is your work. Why does some other woman come along and you feel like suddenly you need to like, you know, self-improve and like pump out your tits and like try to, you know, flaunt your stuff? That tells you that there's something there. That is your golden shadow as a female, okay? I found mine as a male dude, okay? I see this guy on Instagram, shredded, right? Looks like a fitness model, right? And I look at that and I'm like, I'm gonna be that one day. And I have been on my vision board. And I've also made a subliminal for like Indian health, right? And because we, again, famine and all that, you know, backstory. So I made a subliminal for that, and now I'm cutting weight really quickly, right? I'm noticing it. And it's amazing because all it took was a change of belief. My belief told me that, yeah, Indian guys just can't get that body. I don't think, but then I see an example on Instagram. What do you mean? If one person can do it, so can I. And this is, I have to thank my mother for this because she actually reminded me of this energy. If one person can do it, so can you. Okay? It's all in the state of mind. I learned that from my mom too. Okay? I learned that from my mentors for sure. But my mother taught me that at a very young age. She's like, with great power comes great responsibility. From Spider-Man, right? I remember watching that movie. I was to quote that. Okay? She said, if you put your mind to it, she told me, you can do anything. And that still rings with me. That's probably a part of my anima too, right? And that's why the reason I resonate with like archetypes of fae and fairy, because fairies are associated with taboo, right? Fae are associated with the idea of like, they are non-human almost in a sense, right? They're ethereal. They're so high up there, right? And they have zero karma. So they can get away with anything. They can do anything, right? You see little images of fairies like pulling on like hummingbirds, like feathers and stuff. And you go, what? Yo, that's kind of dark, right? But that's it, right? That's the essence that I'm somehow attracted to. Now get this, guys, okay? My mother, when she was born, she's born in Shillong, by the way, my mom. She's Indian, but she's born in Shillong. And you know, I mean, she's from Kolkata, but she's born in Shillong. So, when she was a baby, when she was in the hospital, okay, the nurses gave her a nickname, which meant like little fairy. Okay? Now that goes to show you how deep this anima thing goes, right? Because what do femcells, okay, nowadays it's a new term, okay, really have an issue with? The anima. Their own, or their animus, right? So we've got to heal the masculine and feminine within us, the god and goddess archetypes within us. We got to understand them and heal them. That's it. Okay? So the dark feminine is the beast. The light feminine is the priestess. Okay? You might be doing a lot of priestess work now, or you might be doing a lot of beast, okay? Dark, natured, Lilith maybe energy, right? Very, you know, examples like Freya is dark feminine energy, you know? Maybe Athena is somewhere in between. What would I say? That's like a huntress energy. I would have you do the Women Love Power Feminine Seduction Archetype quiz if you're a woman listening to this right now. Okay? womenlovepower.com. Okay? Go to womenlovepower.com, do the free quiz there, and find out your top feminine archetype. Okay? Once you know what that is, it's so easy for you to integrate this thing and get better at it. Okay? Amazing, guys. Yeah, the Fae are just extensions of the natural in nature. And like to start shit sometimes. Absolutely. Absolutely, Zach. Yeah. It's weird, man. I think about this, bro. Like, are people in the future going to read, like, all of these mythical smut books, right? Like, romantasy novels, right? And, like, think like how we read myths today, right? It's gonna be in the future. They're gonna read it like, wait, they said what? Or like they're gonna dig up our old memes, right? I think about that stuff. That shit's wild, right? But yeah. Work on the art of seduction archetypes that are in the feminine too. The siren, the coquette, what are a few of the other ones there? I think those are the two, right? Top two. And yeah, look at the Women Love Power Seductive Archetypes quiz. And if you're a man listening to this, answer it from the perspective of how your ideal dream woman would answer that quiz. Okay? So if you had an idea of the type of archetype of the woman that you want to be with, you have some idea of her in your mind, just have that in your mind, okay? And once you do this, you'll start to recognize the power of this. This is a cheat code, guys. Okay? Archetypes are like a cheat code. It's in the patterns of the collective unconscious, right? It's a quiz called womenlovepower.com, bro. It's called the 13 feminine seductive archetypes. You can look it up. Okay? But yeah, powerful, guys. I actually have a date right now, so I have to go get going, okay? Osa, let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Live, love, and prosper. 222, ending right on 222. Let's go, feminine healing. You already know what it is. Shout out and much love to all of the females, the Shaktis, the beautiful divine goddesses in this path working. Let's get it. Everybody.